Welcome to the deep dive. We've all been there. You set a goal, maybe make a promise, declare something with real conviction, and maybe we kind of expect it to just happen. But what if declaring something, even like a divine promise, is really just the beginning? What if it's actually an invitation for us to jump in and participate? That's what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack this core idea that a declared word shows the speaker's intention, sure, but also highlights our role, our responsibility in seeing it come true.
That's a really key point. And for this deep dive, we're looking at insights from a piece called Praying Prophetic Promises into Manifestation. It really lays out this dynamic where a divine declaration and our human participation, they aren't separate things, they're linked intrinsically, like two sides of one coin, you could say.
Yeah. Okay, so our mission here is to figure out how exactly this declared word needs our active partnership to actually happen. We want to explore the why is our part needed, and maybe more importantly, the how do we actually do that? To really get this, we have to tackle a foundational idea that might feel a bit backwards at first. So this foundational principle is basically that a divine decree, a powerful heavenly declaration, it doesn't cancel out our part. It actually creates the need for our part. That really flips the common assumption, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's fascinating is how the source material shows this partnership right away. Take 1 Kings 18, verse 1. It says, "The word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, 'Go, show yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth.'" So the promise of rain. Crystal clear. But notice it wasn't automatic. It explicitly needed Elijah to go show himself. That action was required on his part first to kind of set the stage. It shows this fundamental co-laboring.
Which totally reframes our role, moving us from just waiting passively to being active collaborators.
Yeah, and that leads us perfectly into one of the most, compelling stories illustrating this. Elijah on Mount Carmel. That's 1 Kings 18, verses 20 to 46. It's not just drama, it's almost like a blueprint for this whole divine-human partnership thing.
Exactly. It's worth walking through the key stages there because they're packed with insights. So first, the promise gets declared twice, really boldly. Elijah tells Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of the rushing of rain." And this is before any rain, not a cloud in sight. It's him declaring a future reality right into, what looked like a totally empty present moment.
Can you even imagine saying that, "Hear the rain," when it's bone dry? That's just pure faith speaking right there.
It really is. Then you see Elijah actively praying this promise through. He goes up Carmel, bows right down, face between his knees. It's a posture of intense, almost like physical prayer. And then the really telling part. He tells his servant, "Go up now, look toward the sea." What does the servant say? 6 times, the report is, there is nothing. 6 times. Wow. I mean, most of us would have given up, maybe questioned, if we heard right after the third nothing. What kept Elijah going? Sending him back for a 7th look.
His conviction in that declared word, he was holding on to it. And then, the 7th time, it changes. The report is, "Behold, a little cloud like a man's hand is rising from the sea." Just tiny, almost nothing really after all that effort.
A cloud the size of a man's hand. So easy to dismiss something that small, right? But then, as the source highlights, there was great expectation from that tiny sign.
Exactly. And following that, things changed fast. And in a little while, the heavens grew black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain.
It's just incredible, the sequence. Bold declaration, then persistent, almost painful action, seeing that tiny sign, and then the huge fulfillment. It really hammers home the power of not quitting when all you see is nothing. Okay, so this leads to a really big question, probably one you're thinking about right now. Why? Why do we have to actively pray over these declared words? Why isn't the promise itself, the divine declaration, enough? It feels a bit strange to have to, push for something you've already been told is coming.
That's a super important question, and the source material gives us 3 main reasons. First one, spiritual resistance. Daniel chapter 10 talks about an answer being delayed for 21 days. Why? Because the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood it until help came. This suggests that, promises don't always just land smoothly. There can be actual opposition, unseen forces fighting against it. So our consistent active engagement, our prayer, it isn't just nice to have. It might be vital to clear the path.
That idea of spiritual resistance, it's pretty intense. For someone listening, what's the main takeaway for us when we hear about things like the Prince of Persia? Is it about fighting demons, or is it more about just being persistent in prayer when things seem stuck?
It really emphasizes that our prayers aren't just polite requests. They can be like active participation in overcoming whatever is blocking the way. Our consistency might be the very thing that breaks through. Okay, second reason is simpler. Human forgetfulness. We just forget. We're prone to it. I mean, I forget where I put my keys constantly, let alone holding on to a profound promise for months or years.
Totally. Life gets busy, things distract us.
Exactly. So 1 Timothy tells Timothy to wage the good warfare. Using the prophecy spoken over him, prayer isn't just asking. It's a way to keep that promise fresh, to remember it, to keep acting on it. Keeps it from just fading away. So it helps us stay focused too. And the third reason is about conditional elements. Some promises aren't blank checks, they have conditions. Jeremiah 18 gives examples. A declaration to, say, pluck up and break down. A nation could be changed if that nation turns from its evil, or a promise to build and plant could be reversed if they start doing evil. It shows some declarations depend on our obedience, or maybe hitting the right timing. Our prayers can help us align with those conditions, you see.
Wow. So when you put all those reasons together, it paints a picture where these divine declarations aren't just announcements, they're more like invitations. Invitations into a strategic partnership. It totally shifts the idea of just sitting back and waiting. It suggests that maybe the divine side is often waiting for us to actively engage before unlocking the full potential.
Okay, this sounds powerful, but it also sounds like work, like active participation is key. So for you listening, what does this actually look like day to day? How do we do this engagement with declared words?
Yeah, the source gives a really practical guide. Step 1, record it, write it down. Habakkuk 2 says, write the vision, make it plain, so he may run who reads it. Writing makes it real, tangible, harder to forget. Second, test it. 1 Thessalonians 5 says, do not despise prophecies, but test everything. Hold fast what is good. Discernment is key. Don't just grab onto every word, make sure it resonates, make sure it's, well, good.
Right, so be discerning, not just accepting everything blindly. Got it. What's next? Third, declare it. Speak it out loud. Romans 10 reminds us that faith comes from hearing through the word of Christ. Saying it reinforces it for you, builds your own faith, and sort of releases it into the atmosphere. Fourth, travail in prayer. This isn't just a quick please. The source talks about intense, fervent prayer, like Elijah's effort. James 5 emphasizes this, saying, the prayer of a righteous person has great power, and it points right back to Elijah. Reminds us he was human just like us, a man with a nature like ours. He prayed again, and heaven gave rain.
That connection back to Elijah again really drives it home, that deep, persistent effort. Okay, what else?
Fifth, watch for signs. Remember Elijah's servant looking for that little cloud. Keep your eyes open. The first sign might be small, easy to miss, but it's evidence things are moving. Sixth, act in faith. James 2 is blunt. Faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Believing isn't enough. We need corresponding actions, even small steps moving toward the promise. And finally, seventh, guard your heart, especially during delays. Numbers 23 gives huge reassurance. God is not man that he should lie. Has he said, and will he not do it? It's about holding on to trust in the source, believing it's reliable, even when it takes longer than you hoped.
And speaking of delay, that's often the hardest part, isn't it? That waiting. It can be incredibly frustrating. What encouragement is there for someone listening right now who feels like they're stuck waiting on a word that just hasn't happened yet?
Absolutely, the waiting is tough. But it's so crucial to remember 2 Corinthians 1:20, for all the promises of God find their yes in him. That means the promises themselves are solid. Their fulfillment is locked into the divine plan. And the key insight here, I think, is delay does not equal denial. It just doesn't. Think about Elijah looking 7 times, before seeing even that tiny cloud, that patience, that persistence. It was part of the process. Your prayers aren't just you asking nicely. They are a vital, active part of God's process of bringing things about. You're a partner in this, not just waiting by the sidelines. And, to wrap it all up, the source material uses this beautiful metaphor. Prophecy is seed, prayer is the watering, manifestation is the harvest.
That's powerful. So the big takeaway for you listening, for me too, is how do we actually step into this partnership? How do we take these ideas and live them out? Like Elijah, the challenge is to refuse to quit when you see nothing. This deep dive really encourages you to bend your knee, speak the word again, and look again. Keep looking until that sky turns black with the fulfilled promise.
Pray the word, see the rain. So maybe the question to leave you with is, what rain are you waiting for in your life? And what part might your persistent engagement, your prayer, your action play in its arrival?